What's up YouTube, it's your boy Rhett, back at it again with another video. This month I'll be making a series of 4 controversial videos. The first of which is this video right here, which is about all of this Bitcoin climate change stuff that's been coming to a head over the last year or so. However, it is my birthday next week, so legally none of you are allowed to go down into the comments and say anything mean about me for the entire month of April. Fair is fair. So if you guys watch to the end of the video today, I'll be covering Bitcoin's energy consumption. We'll talk about how Bitcoin mining is fueling climate change, and then I'll cover some of the environmental benefits of Bitcoin mining. So go down below and smash the like button for nuanced Bitcoin energy debates, and let's level up your brain. So first, let's go ahead and talk about how much energy does Bitcoin mining actually consume. And for anyone unfamiliar, Bitcoin mining is a process where about every 10 minutes, Bitcoin miners, which are basically these specialized fancy computers, win a global lottery to solve a math problem. And whoever solves that math problem gets the privilege of writing the new transactions that happened in the last 10 minutes to the history of the Bitcoin blockchain. And in exchange for the power and electricity that they've used to computationally generate the answer to that problem, the Bitcoin miners receive a block reward and all the transaction fees of the transactions that happened in the last 10 minutes. And it's estimated that Bitcoin miners globally take up about 120 terawatt hours of electricity per year, which 120 terawatt hours is about the same amount of energy that the entire country of Norway uses in a year, but it's less energy than all the clothes dryers in the world use every year. Those statistics are a lot to think about, and it probably doesn't mean anything to you. Like, how can you even conceive of what does it mean to use the same or less amount of energy than all the dryers in the world? But the bottom line is Bitcoin miners globally use a lot of energy. But an important distinction that we'll cover later is that the ability to solve these problems and mine the next block of transactions is not directly related to the amount of energy you use. It's directly related to the amount of hash power or computational power that you're contributing to the Bitcoin mining network. So with all of that in mind, next let's talk about how Bitcoin mining is bad for the environment and destroying the planet. Just kidding, we are actually going to talk about it. So you've probably heard from super reputable organizations like The Guardian and beacons of courage and honesty like Elizabeth Warren that Bitcoin is horrible for the environment and it's making climate change even worse than it already is. Per The Guardian video,
you don't just burn a Norway's worth amount of electricity and have no carbon footprint.
Which is totally correct. And The Guardian recognizes that Bitcoin's energy mix is about 40% renewables and about 60% fossil fuels, which that energy mix is about 2 times as renewable as the US energy grid, which is about 20% renewables, 80% fossil fuels. Unbelievably, Norway's ironically named Ministry of Petroleum claims that 98% of their energy mix comes from renewable resources, with most of that coming from hydropower. So we've clearly got a long way to go, both in the Bitcoin mining market and in the US, to catch up to countries like Norway that seem to have figured this problem out. But as The Guardian points out correctly, 60% of the energy in Bitcoin mining is coming from fossil fuels, and it's The Guardian's opinion that that is not good for the environment. Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert and author of the book Loserthink, which is one of my favorite books, linked down in the description, calls analysis like this one from The Guardian a half-pinion. A half-pinion is basically an opinion that ignores one half of a topic by only bringing up the costs or the benefits of an issue rather than comparing the costs to the benefits. In this case, The Guardian brings up the costs of Bitcoin mining, that bad 60% fossil fuel energy mix, but when they go on later in the video to pretend to bring up the benefits, they do so in an inaccurate or dishonest way, depending on how cynical you are. So now that we've looked at the downsides of Bitcoin mining on the environment, it uses a lot of energy and 60% of that energy mix is from fossil fuels, and we've understood The Guardian's half-pinion, now let's go on and fill in the other half of their half-pinion by looking at the benefits of Bitcoin mining on the environment. So we're all on the same page. Bitcoin uses a lot of energy, but what do we actually get in exchange for that energy use? First, let's jump back to that renewable energy mix statistic from The Guardian. Bitcoin mining has an energy mix that is 2 times as renewable as the US energy grid, which is directionally exactly what you want. It's more important to move in the right direction than it is to be 100% at your goal today. And that's just because generally systems are a lot better than goals, which is something that you can learn a lot more about by reading James Clear's very popular book, Atomic Habits, that I'll leave a link to down in the description. Viewing any industry country that is 2 times as renewable as the US energy grid as a negative is a very pessimistic way to look at innovation, because progress is progress. So right off the bat, we all agree that we're only looking at the bad 60% fossil fuel energy mix of the Bitcoin mining network. So what else do we get for that 60% of bad energy? We get the ability for companies like ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips to stop emitting flare gas into the air by instead redirecting that energy to mine Bitcoin. To the Guardian's point, we're not sure how much of that 60% energy mix flare gas takes up, but we now should all be in agreement that something less than 60% of Bitcoin's total mining energy should be a problem for the environment. Because obviously using that flare gas to mine Bitcoin is a net positive for the environment versus emitting that flare gas into the air. Additionally, and something that is pretty difficult to quantify, Bitcoin mining makes building new renewable energy resources a lot more profitable. And it allows us to monetize stranded energy while we figure out how to integrate that stranded energy into our existing grid. If you have a waterfall in the middle of nowhere and it's difficult to connect it to the grid, you might just not harness that energy. But what we can do now is set up a Bitcoin miner in that waterfall and then create infrastructure projects to eventually link that waterfall to the grid to provide power to people in whatever areas close to the waterfall. And there's a great thread that I saw on this topic on Twitter that I'll leave the link to down in the description from Harlem Bitcoin that explores this topic in a lot more depth, so definitely check that out if you're looking to learn more. Bitcoin miners incentivize and subsidize renewable energy production because Bitcoin miners are a buyer of last resort of all excess energy on the planet, because Bitcoin mining will always be there to soak up any extra demand. Grid operators can turn on and off Bitcoin miners to adjust and smooth out volatility from energy sources that are very high and low, like solar and wind. You don't have to take my word for it though, because I am in no means an expert. What you can do instead is go down in the description and check out the video of Brian Brooks, the ex-comptroller of the currency, telling you this exact same thing. He does a great job of explaining how Bitcoin miners are needed by large energy producers to soak up baseload and to smooth out volatility, which helps out a lot in operating energy grids. The Guardian also claims that Bitcoin miners receive Bitcoin, quote, roughly in proportion to the amount of energy they burn, which, like we talked about earlier, is minimum misleading and in the worst case completely false and just an outright lie. Bitcoin miners receive Bitcoin in proportion to the hash rate or the computational resources that they contribute to the Bitcoin mining network. A quick look at the Compass Mining marketplace will show us that more advanced, more expensive, higher technology miners consume less energy for more hash rate than older, less efficient models of miners. Over time, innovation in this space is going to create more computationally powerful miners that need to draw less electricity. And then obviously, what else do we get from Bitcoin mining? Just the most advanced, permissionless, decentralized payment network that's ever existed in the history of humanity. But the Guardian doesn't really seem to get that.
Bitcoin uses about 0.1% of all of the electricity in the world. And it does this for a novel financial system that handles about 7 transactions a second. Just Visa alone, one bank card provider will do easily 1,000 times more than 7 transactions a second. Unless there is some radical, unforeseen change that wildly slashes the power usage of the Bitcoin network, or results in an unprecedented increase in the efficiency of that network to process transactions. Unprecedented increase in the efficiency of that network to process transactions. I can't see it being the future of a sustainable financial system.
So obviously what the reputable, not biased reporter from The Guardian is leaving out in this clip is the entire existence of the Lightning Network, which currently today is capable of transacting more than 1,000 times the number of payments as Visa. I find these "it doesn't scale" arguments the most annoying criticism against Bitcoin, because in a lot of cases, these people have clearly done their homework, and I find it very unlikely that they've done all of this research and have never come across Layer 2 solutions or the Lightning Network. I guess we'll just have to keep talking about it until someone notices. If you guys found this video helpful, or if you learned anything, go down below and smash the like button so that YouTube spreads this video around to more people and we can help combat the bad information that's been put out by outlets like The Guardian. If you guys want to learn more about Bitcoin's energy consumption or climate change issues or anything that we talked about in this video, I'll have all the links down in the description. You should also go check out writings and podcasts done by Nick Carter, the most dangerous man on the planet. He has a YouTube channel that's much smaller than mine, where he talks talks about Bitcoin mining and energy consumption concerns. And he's pretty much my go-to resource for Bitcoin mining and energy information. Comment down below if you have something nice to say about me. It is my birthday this month, so legally you're not allowed to say anything mean about me until May. But I do still respond to all the comments, even if they are mean. And then come back here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern for a new video. I love you all. Goodbye.